So it's nice to be at Ming's again. Every year when I come to Singapore, I give a talk here. This has been going on for many years. And in fact, I knew the temple before it was even constructed. I remember walking through here, William showing me the different rooms when it was under construction. But now there's quite a beautiful temple for everybody to enjoy, and lots of activities. So today we'll be talking about the text that's the 37 practices of Bodhisattvas. So Bodhisattvas are beings who have generated bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is the aspiration, very deep felt aspiration in your heart. Bodhicitta is the aspiration to become a fully awakened Buddha, so that you will have all the compassion, wisdom, and skillful means and ability to lead other sentient beings to full awakening. Yeah. So these are beings who are very highly realized. The bodhisattvas, are really on the path to become Buddhas and will keep practicing until they fulfill their aspiration. So these 37 are practices that they do. And the text belongs to a genre of teachings called the thought training or mind training teachings. And these are teachings that explain how to reframe difficult situations so that instead of being unhappy and dissatisfied, we transform our mind into the path and we begin to have a good motivation and to see things in a much more realistic and beneficial way. Yeah. But it's interesting, and as we talk about the different verses, you'll see that some of them really push our buttons because they are the opposite of what we usually feel like doing. Okay? And I won't give it away with some examples, but we'll get there and you'll see. Yeah. So it's, I really love this genre of teachings because personally speaking, I think they were the ones that I really rely on in my practice. Yeah, because as we know, we don't get everything we want, and we get lots of circumstances we don't want, and we have to deal with them all. And we could, just get despondent and depressed, or, as this text is encouraging us to do, change how we look at the situations, yeah, so that we have a real sincere motivation of compassion. So the way this evening will go is we'll spend a couple of minutes meditating just to calm the mind, and I'll lead us in a short motivation. And then we're going to chant the verses, the 37 verses. We do this chanting at Sravasti Abbey every day after lunch. We chant a different text. So this is the text we do on Mondays. Yeah, today is Friday. That's okay. So we'll chant the text and then I'll start to unpack it. We probably won't get through all 37 verses. This is when I usually teach this text, it's over many sessions so that we can really dive into them. So this will be a short introduction. But the book back on the table called Don't Believe Everything You Think is based on some teachings that I gave on this text a number of years ago. So if you read the book, then whatever verses we don't cover in person, you'll find them in the book. Okay, and I really encourage you to practice these methods and really experiment with them. You know, just try them, see what happens if you can actually change your mind. So the first, we start out by paying homage to Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva or the Buddha of compassion. And you know, when you want to know, well, what's it like to be a Buddha or a Bodhisattva? What do they do? This is telling us, you know. And so if we also want to become a Buddha and a Bodhisattva, we should practice like they do. Yeah, so we pay homage to them for that reason. So the first verse, having gained this worship of freedom and fortune, hear, think, and meditate unwaveringly, night and day, in order to free yourself and others from the ocean of cyclic existence. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. So the text starts out with saying, you have an incredible lifetime, yeah, a life of freedom from all sorts of unpleasant rebirths, unpleasant states, and a life of great fortune where you have the opportunity to encounter the teachings, to practice them, to meet with the Sangha, to find texts. We have everything we need around us to really practice the path. And so, you know, as beginners, we have to realize what great fortune we have. So often in our life, we moan and groan about, you know, oh, other people get to do this, but I don't. Oh, my boss favors that person, and I'm discriminated against, I'm left out. So this verse is telling us that that way of thinking is really useless because we actually have an incredible rebirth. We just have to open our eyes and see it, okay? Because so often we don't really understand our life very well, and we don't understand the world very well. And we make mountains out of molehills. In other words, small problems we inflate, you know, until they're huge. And then, of course, we're terrorized, you know. But really, in the big, great perspective of everything that's happening in the world, our problems aren't so drastic and they aren't so important. Yeah, they feel important because they concern me, right? Yeah, and everything that concerns me is of the utmost importance. Yeah, don't you think? Isn't that yeah, how you look at things? It's all about me. Yeah. And so we try and grasp everything we think will make us happy. We push away everything we think won't make us happy. And, you know, we don't really see the fortune that we have. Yeah. So I must say, you know, in Singapore, you live in a country that's at peace. You live in a prosperous country. Yeah. You have a good education system. There's a lot going for you just on the very basic level that so many people on this planet don't have. So let's appreciate that. And let's appreciate the fact that we can meet the Buddha's teachings and practice them. Yeah. Okay, so he says, yeah, what should we do with this opportunity? Hear, think, and meditate. So these are three activities that we talk about when in relationship to the Buddha's teachings. First, we have to hear them, That's what you're doing tonight. But when it says hearing, that's because in ancient times, everything was passed down orally. Now we have books, so it could, when it says hearing, it also includes reading and studying. Okay, so it's just learning, So it says to learn and think about, so we don't just get a lot of facts and information and spill it back out again, but we really think about the teachings. And it's important to think about them critically, use our wisdom. And do these teachings make sense? When I practice them, do they work? Yeah. So faith in Buddhism is not blind faith. We don't just say, oh, well, the Buddha said this, so I believe it. No, that doesn't work, because if you think like that, then you don't understand the teachings. And if somebody else comes along and says, oh, actually you should believe blah, 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 then you just go, oh, okay. And then you change and you believe that thing, but you don't really understand that one either. So spiritually, you don't get anywhere. So it's really important, to apply reasoning and think about the teachings and understand them correctly. Yeah. And then when we've understood them correctly, then we meditate on them. And so meditation is what helps us integrate the teachings into our life. So this is kind of setting out in this first verse how we should relate to all the subsequent verses. Okay, then, and why, another line. Why do we do this? In order to free ourselves and others. Yeah, so we don't practice the Dharma, because all of our friends are doing it, and because they have really good food at the temples, and because they're having a raffle, and maybe we'll win something if we go to the temple. Not like that, okay? So we have a good motivation, and we want to free both ourselves and all other living beings from this cycle of existence, of getting born, old, sick, dying, getting born again, old, sick, dying, okay? And we want to free ourselves from that cycle and have a state of actual freedom and actual peace. So this is why we're doing the practice. Okay, then verse 2. Attached to your loved ones, you're stirred up like water. Hating your enemies, you burn like fire. In the darkness of confusion, you forget what to adopt and discard. Give up your homeland. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. And you're going to go, oh, give up my homeland? Oh, but I don't want to leave. All my friends are here. This verse isn't necessarily talking about physically leaving the place. It's talking about detaching yourself from all the commotion in your current life. Okay? So what is that commotion? What's going on? Well, one is we're attached to our loved ones, and that stirs us up like water, okay? What do you mean attachment of the loved ones? Well, attachment is a mental attitude, a mental factor that exaggerates the good qualities of someone or something and wants it, holds on to it, okay? So your loved ones, your family, people usually cherish them more than they cherish others. And they're partial, and they'll help their family. And, other people, maybe not so much. But also in families, there's a lot of family drama. Okay, does your family have family drama? Yeah. And sometimes, you know, the whole family comes together for a holiday, and your people play certain roles in the family. And so every holiday dinner, this one quarrels with that one. Okay, do you have anybody have that in their family? Yes, yes. Okay, so we can get so involved in our family drama. Oh, this one's mad with this one is upset with this one. You know, my child flunked spelling test, you know, in primary one. They'll never get to a good university like that, you know, and you get all worked up about things, you know, that pertain to the family. And you know, you worry, and then there's so much gossip in the family about, oh, you did this cousin, that one, and blah, blah, blah. And did you hear what so-and-so's doing? And they shouldn't be doing that. They should be doing something else. Ah, it's exhausting, isn't it? Yeah. And so all that happens because, you know, we cling to these people, and we feel like, oh, you know, these are my people and they've got to be perfect, and they aren't. You know? Okay, so we get worked up like that. Yeah. So attached to your loved ones, you're stirred up like water. Hating your enemies, you burn like fire. Then there's people you don't like. Maybe your competitor, yeah, or somebody who's better than you, or somebody else who is dating your boyfriend or girlfriend, or you know, somebody who's interfering with you getting what you want, and you're so mad, yeah, that you burn, you know, like fire. Anger feels like fire, doesn't it? Yeah, that you're burning inside. So very uncomfortable. Unless, is anybody here happy when they're angry? No. Yeah, anger makes us totally miserable. Why then, when we get angry, do we nourish our own anger? Yeah. When, you know, when you get angry, you start out with, well, this person did this to me, therefore I don't like them. Well, and then you think about it again. Yes, they said this. Who do they think they are talking to me like this? Then they did that. And, oh, I should have really gotten some revenge. They had no right treating me like this. I want revenge. I want to get even. Okay, and then you go through the whole scene. Maybe you had a quarrel with somebody, and you go through the whole fight again in your mind, rerunning it. And each time you do, and each time you think about it, you get angrier and angrier. Yeah, does this sound familiar? Anybody here do it? Yeah, look closely at how you live. This is what goes on. And we're miserable because we just play this video of the awful things somebody did to us over and over and over again. The other person isn't anywhere around. Nobody is harming us in this moment. But by running the memory again and again in our mind, we make ourselves miserable. And sometimes we do this for things that happened years and years ago, okay? You remember, you know, oh, when I was in primary 2, yeah, I dropped my pencil and the teacher made me stay after school because they thought I was disrupting the class. And I'm so mad at that teacher, what they did. Oh, oh, oh. You know, are you still in primary 2? Is your teacher still, you know, telling you to stop doing what you're doing? No, it's all in the past. But we rerun it and get angrier and angrier, okay? We need to press the pause button on these kind of mental videos that we keep running, yeah? Because nobody's harming us now, yeah? And you can even, sometimes when you're meditating, your mind gets distracted. And sometimes you go to somebody you like and your mind starts fantasizing about the wonderful life you're going to lead. And other times your attention goes towards somebody you're mad at and you just get angrier and angrier. Yeah. And it happens in a group meditation. You know, everybody's meditating. So you're sitting in perfect meditation position. You look so holy, but what's going on in your mind? Oh, I'm so mad. And you're meditating like that. That's not meditation. But you're concentrating on something, you know, that's making you miserable. And then you hear, oh, I'm sitting in a room with a lot of nice people and nobody's harming me. What was going on in my mind all that time, going around and around about what somebody did to me? Yeah, you just wasted the whole meditation session. Yeah, anybody besides me do that? Yeah, yeah. We're sitting here, it's perfectly safe. Nobody's harming us. But inside, okay. In the darkness of confusion, you forget what to adopt and discard. When we practice a spiritual path, there are certain things that we want to adopt, that we want to start doing, and there are things that we want to abandon doing, okay? So we want to start forgiving people. We want to start being more tolerant of people, yeah? We want to stop yelling and screaming at people when we get mad, okay? So there's all these things that we need to practice and some that we need to abandon. But when we're confused, we can't even tell the difference between the two. And so then we wind up doing all sorts of useless things. Like we get angry and we, you know, oh, I really have to get even with somebody, you know, for their own good. I've got to go right away and tell that person that their behavior is wrong, you know, and we talk ourselves into doing this. And what happens? Yeah, well, does the other person say, oh, thank you very much for giving me that feedback? No, they yell and scream and, you know, enter the quarrel with us. And then everything really blows up. But, you know, why did we even start it? Because we thought, oh, you know, putting them in their place is something good. Otherwise, they're going to step all over me. Yeah. So we're making up stories that are actually quite unrealistic, that harm us instead of benefit us. Okay, so in the darkness of confusion, you forget what to adopt and discard. So what is he proposing as the remedy? Give up your homeland. Okay, so that doesn't mean that you go and get a passport and leave on the next plane. Yeah, it means that you distance yourself mentally from all of this kind of stuff. Like, we don't really need to get all involved in all the family dynamics and family drama. Yeah, it's really not necessary. Just, you know, Step back, be peaceful, talk to everybody in the family, don't take sides. Yeah. So it's talking about, you know, stepping away from the clinging attachment, stepping away from of being upset about things. Okay. Of course, for me, when I first encountered Buddhism, there weren't any Dharma centers anywhere near where I live. So I had to go halfway around the world. Yeah. And I found that actually quite beneficial to live in a different culture. Yeah, because when you live in a different culture, you see that your whole, you know, so many of your concrete ideas, yeah, that seem very normal in the society that you live in, when you go to other countries, the people think in a different way. And so it really broadens your mind, broadens your perspective. Okay, verse 3. By avoiding bad objects, disturbing emotions gradually decrease. Without distraction, virtuous activities naturally increase. With clarity of mind, conviction in the teachings arise. Cultivate seclusion. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. So here, seclusion, yeah, it doesn't mean you go find the nearest cave and, you know, decide to go into retreat for the rest of your life. It means seclusion from objects of attachment, objects of anger, all the objects that, you know, rile up your emotions, you know. So by avoiding bad objects, disturbing emotions gradually decrease. Now it says bad objects as if the objects are the problem. Okay. For example, yeah, we say, you made me really angry. Yeah, as if my anger, you know, I'm completely innocent. My anger is your fault because you did X, Y, and Z. Yeah, I have no responsibility for my anger. Yeah, we talk like that, don't we? Yeah. Well, we talk, so we think, oh, that other person is a bad object because they made me angry. Actually, they didn't make us angry. They just were living their lives, doing whatever. Yeah. Very often they have no intention of pushing our buttons and making us angry. Yeah. Why do we get angry? Because we have the seed of anger inside of ourselves. And if we have that seed of anger, yeah, if we have buttons, in other words, things that we are very, very sensitive about, then our buttons will get pushed and our seeds of anger will blossom into anger. Yeah. And that's not because of the other person. It's because we have that potential in our own mind. And because we have the things that we're really sensitive about. Okay? So it's like, let's say somebody is walking along a corridor and there's big buttons on the side of the wall. And the buttons say, don't push me, okay? But the buttons are so sensitive that when somebody walks by them, just the vibration of the air sets those buttons off, and then you get the siren, okay? When we are sensitive about certain things, that's kind of what happens to us, okay? let's think of an example. Let's say I am sensitive about, what's a good example? I'm sensitive about how I look, okay? So if, I'm very sensitive, I want people to say, oh, you look so nice. Yeah, you're very attractive. I want to hear that. But, so I dress up, I put on my best robe. Looks like this. I, comb my hair a special way. Yeah, fix it. Yeah, hide the gray hair and, maybe dye it purple or something. And, and I want people to say, oh, you look really good. Yeah. And I go to see some friends and nobody comments on my appearance. And in fact, maybe somebody says, oh, you've gained a little bit of weight, haven't you? Yeah, actually, that makes you look better. And they give it as a compliment. But you go, I gained a little bit of weight? Yeah, you think I don't look good? Yeah. And you say, oh, this person's criticizing me. Oh. Yeah. All the person did was say, you've gained some weight and you actually look better. You look healthier. But you go, no. Yeah. Okay. So it's quite interesting to look in our lives and what are the things, what are our buttons? What are the things we're sensitive about? Yeah. Where we want to hear nice comments. We don't want any feedback that doesn't correspond with how we think of ourselves. Mm-hmm. So we might say, oh, I want people to be honest with me. And, if I make a mistake, please point it out to me. We may say that. But then when we're at work, somebody says, you made a big mistake here on this, and now we have to go back and redo it. Wait a minute. What are you doing commenting on my behavior? And we get fired up. The other person just gave us the feedback because we had asked for it. They said it in a nice tone of voice, but we're so sensitive that we explode. Okay? So it's saying, again, step back from those kind of situations. Another example would be, let's say you weigh 200 kilos. Okay? Can you imagine weighing 200 kilos? So where do you go to hang out with your friends? You go to the ice cream parlor. Yeah. Is that smart? Yeah. You weigh 200 kg and you're so unhealthy that you can barely stand up. But you go to the ice cream place to be with your friends. And of course, once you're there, what do? Yeah, you get this cone and you get that, chocolate sandwich, and, you eat more stuff and get fatter and more unhealthy. That's not too smart. So when it says, by avoiding bad objects, disturbing emotions gradually decrease. If if you're really attached to ice cream and, you're overweight and you're unhealthy, yeah, then don't trigger your attachment by going to the ice cream place. You're getting what I'm saying? Yeah. If you have a problem with drinking too much alcohol, don't go out with your friends to the pub. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hey, okay. Without distraction, virtuous activities naturally increase. So when we're not distracted by chasing after the things we're attached to and pushing away all the things we don't like, then we really have time to look at our mind, understand ourselves, how our mind operates. We have time to notice which thoughts we have that are realistic and which thoughts we have that are totally unrealistic. Okay. But of course, we think we don't have any unrealistic thoughts. Other people are unrealistic. Yeah. Yeah. You're together with somebody and they're expecting you to fulfill all their needs and to do whatever they want. That's unrealistic, yeah? And we see, don't expect that of me. But what do we do with them? Oh, you're my friend. You're supposed to always agree with me, always side with me, fulfill all my needs. Yeah. Do you have friends or some relationships where you have that kind of expectation of people? Yeah, when you do, you're setting yourself up for a lot of pain and misery. Yeah, it's nobody else's job to fulfill our needs and to make us perpetually happy. Yeah, nobody signed up for that job, but we expect that of them. Yeah. And, this in love affairs, when you're in love with somebody, this is what's going on. But even with your parents, yeah, mom and dad are always supposed to be there. Yeah, mom's always supposed to prepare food. Mom's always supposed to be on my side. Dad is supposed to do whatever, we want dad to do. But, people are their own individual people and they have up and down moods. And when we expect them to just be what we want them to be, when we want them to be like that, then, when there's difficulties, this is coming from our unrealistic expectations of other people. Okay. With clarity of mind, conviction in the teaching arises. Okay, so without distraction, we can concentrate on generating virtuous activities and actions. And with clarity of mind, we can really think clearly about the Buddha's teachings and gain actual conviction in them. So like I was saying before, in Buddhism, we don't just believe because Buddha said something. We think about things, and if they make sense and they're logical, they're reasonable, then we follow them. If we don't understand something yet, then we can put it on the back burner and come back to it later. Yeah. But if we find something is totally unrealistic, then leave it. Yeah. Leave it. So our faith, our spiritual faith should be supported by our intelligence. Yeah. Okay. Verse 4, loved ones who have long kept company will part. Wealth created with difficulty will be left behind. Consciousness, the guest, will leave the guest house of the body. Let go of this life. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Okay, so the people you love, are you always going to be with them? Yeah. Do you want to always be with them? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you want to be with them? You want to be chained together? Okay. even if you don't want to be chained together. Yeah? So we may have kept company with certain people. We have very close friends. We have family members. Yeah. People that we've been with a long time and know very well, but we're not always going to be with them. Yeah. You know, people move. I mean, in Singapore, you can't move very far away. In my country, you know, people move to the opposite side of the country when they want to be independent of their parents. Yeah. So here it's a little bit difficult, huh? Uh, yeah. Okay. But the thing is, we will not always be with the people that we care about. If for no other reason, then either they will die first or we will die first. Yeah. So anything that comes together eventually is going to separate. Yeah. So whatever people we're very close to, you know, at death time, at the latest, we will separate. You may have some possession that you really love that symbolizes, you know, your success. Yeah, you've worked so hard. Now you have your, you know, your hot red sports car that you zoom around Singapore, putting your foot on the gas, and you feel, oh, I love having this car, and people notice me. Yeah, are you always going to have that car? Yeah. Well, I mean, I know that 10 years is the most you're going to have it because the government makes you turn it in. But even before that, yeah, the car is something that is made of different parts. Whatever is made with those parts that came together, they're going to fall apart. Okay? So I read about one practitioner who said, what, you know, they practice with cups because, you know, we always have cups. And she said, this cup is already broken. Actually, this cup hasn't been broken yet, but she was training her mind to see that this cup eventually will break. It's not going to exist for all eternity. And so we separate from the people that we care about, from the possessions that we worked hard to get, from any kind of situation. Nothing is going to last forever. Okay? So in one way, we think, oh, impermanence, that's really bad. You know, I want things to be fixed and solid and predictable and secure and permanent, and they aren't. Well, you know, this is the way things are. If we can accustom ourselves to the reality of things, then we're okay. But the more we reject the reality of impermanence, the more unhappy we are. Mm-hmm. Okay. So to be aware, loved ones who have long kept company will part. Yeah, that's going to happen. So, yeah, that isn't something discouraging. It just means, you know, value that person now while they're your friend, but don't cling to them and have the feeling like, oh, you've always got to be near me, you've always got to be part of my life, you know, because eventually parting comes. Okay, that's regarding people. What about possessions? Wealth created with difficulty will be left behind. Yeah, you work really hard, you save so much money, you buy whatever it is you want to buy. Yeah, And so you work hard with difficulty to get the things you want. Are you going to be able to have them forever? No. Yeah. They break, they disappear, they go out of style. You don't want them anymore. Okay. So the idea is don't get so graspy at people. Don't be so graspy at possessions, because, you know, they're useful and it's good to have good relationships with people, but don't be unrealistic and think, you know, we're in love. We will always be in love internally. Well, no, you're going to get reborn. They're going to get reborn. You may not see each other for a few eons. Okay? Consciousness, the guest, will leave the guest house of the body. So what we call life is when our mind, our consciousness, and our body are linked. What is called death is when they go their different ways. The body has a continuum, it decays. The mind, the consciousness, has a continuum. And then in the case of us ordinary beings, it takes rebirth. Okay? So we may think, oh, I have so many wonderful qualities, you know, and I'm always going to be with this body. I'm always going to be me. No, you know, we're all going to die. Our body is like a guest house, you know, it's like a hotel, you know, you go check into, I don't know, some fancy hotel on the Orchard Road. Are you going to live there forever? Yeah. Do you even want to live there forever? Yeah. Sometimes these big hotels are a bit creepy. Yeah? It's like, I don't know. Anyway. Okay. So just to realize, you know, that someday we are going to die. If we are prepared for death, then they say that dying is like going on a picnic. Yeah, that it's fun. It's, you know, you look forward to your next life because you've practiced well in this life. And so, you know, you're pretty sure you're going to have a good rebirth. I was once, I had the fortune to be where there was one Tibetan meditator, and he died suddenly. Nobody really expected it. But his friends, he lived in a community of meditators. There were maybe like, I don't know, 7 or 8 of them living in different huts. And his friends were away. He had stayed behind, and he died. When his friends came back, yeah, and heard that he was in the process of dying when they came back, they didn't go, ah, he's dying. You know, the Westerners who lived nearby did that. They said, ah, he's dying. We've got to go get the doctor. They jumped in the Jeep, ran to the doctor, got the doctor, brought him up there, you know, took him into the hut. And the doctor looked at him and said, he's dying. And the Western, how could he die? His friends, the monks that, you know, he lived with, who were accustomed to meditating on impermanence and knew that everybody at some point or another is going to die. When they came back, they weren't upset at all. They went into the room, they started doing chanting and pujas and meditation and dedicating prayers for him. Yeah, his friends were not sobbing, you know, they just accepted it. And the monk himself was not freaking out. Yeah, In fact, he knew exactly what he needed to do. And there was one nun who had been a nurse before she ordained. And so she was helping him. And he was giving her instructions on what to do so that he could die peacefully. Yeah. So if we're accustomed to thinking about impermanence, then we aren't shocked when there's big changes. Yeah. And then, things go so much better. Okay, verse 5. Oh, so the advice here is let go of this life. Yeah. So it doesn't, let go of this life means don't be so attached to everything in your life. Yeah. Value the people that you're close to, but realize that eventually you're separate. Yeah. If you have wealth, yeah, use it. Use it to create virtue by sharing it. Yeah. And realize that, the stock market could go down and then almost everything is gone. Yeah. Because the stock market's like that, isn't it? So just, chill out, actually. Verse 5, when you keep their company, your 3 poisons increase. Your activities of hearing, thinking, and meditating decline, and they make you lose your love and compassion. Give up bad friends. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Now, what is a bad friend? Yeah, we usually think, oh, a bad friend, nasty people who are cheating me. We think, oh, a bad friend is, somebody who just has horns on their head and they're out to get you. Actually, I remember when my teacher taught this verse, he said, actually, very often, people who we think are good friends are bad friends in the sense that they lead us away from our spiritual practice. Yeah. For example, if you have friends who like to drink and drug, they're your friends. What do you do when you get together? You go out and you have a beer. Or you go to a party with all your friends, and what do? You have some whiskey, you have some wine, This is what everybody's doing. These are your friends. You get a little tipsy, you have a good time, so you think. Yeah. Well, what's going to happen if you cultivate those kind of friends? You may like them, you may have a lot in common, but what's going to happen to you? My mother used to have a phrase that was popular: birds of a feather flock together. In other words, people become like the people they hang out with. So if you hang out with people who are drinking and drugging, you're going to drink and drug, because that's what everybody does. If you hang out with people who are gambling, then you're going to go gambling with them. Okay, so, and those people, if they don't have good ethical conduct, then we're going to kind of start acting like them, and our ethical conduct is going to go down. So it's really a call to choose the people that we want to be with very carefully, because we will become like them. Mm-hmm. Also, another thing these bad friends do is, we think that they're good friends, so we want to go on meditation retreat, and we have a few days off work, we want to go on retreat. We go we tell somebody at work who's a friend that we're going on a retreat, and your good friend says, "What? Yeah? You're going, we have these days off, the holiday, and you're going to go sit there and look at your belly button for a weekend?" You know, that, what kind of nonsense is that? Come, let's go to, what's it called, the island off of Singapore. Ba, Batam. Let's go to Batam. Yeah, yeah. Don't go to that meditation retreat. You're just going to sit there. You know, let's go to Batam. We can go to the casino. Yeah. No. Or a bad friend is somebody where you want to give a donation. Let's say somebody's raising money to create a clinic, so that people who don't have a lot of money can go and get the medical care that they need. Maybe it's in Singapore, maybe it's in another country, and you want to make a donation to this good cause. And your family member goes, "Oh, don't give that money to those people. Use it. Let's take the family on vacation so we all have a good time." Yeah. Well, actually, when we practice generosity, we're creating merit. We're doing something virtuous. That's going to help us in our next life. But here's our family who we love and who love us, but they don't know about what to practice and what to abandon, what is virtuous and what isn't. And so they don't want you to give that donation. They want you to, let's go on a holiday. Okay? So when you keep their company, your three poisons, your ignorance, anger, and attachment increase. And when they increase, what happens? Your activities of hearing, thinking, and meditating on the Buddha's teachings decline. Yeah? And they often make you lose your love and compassion. Now, how does that happen? They're good friends. How do they make you lose your love and compassion? Well, okay, when somebody is angry, okay, let's say there's a person over here, yeah? So there's a person over there. No, there's two people over there. Okay, let me use these two monastics as an example. There's two people there, okay? So Venerable Thubten gets mad at Venerable Kunchog, yeah? And he didn't do anything, yeah, but she just gets really mad at him. And she wants to vent, she wants somebody to side with her. So she comes and talks to me and says, "Do you know what he did? Yeah, oh, he did blah, 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 blah." Some stupid thing, some little thing, he did that, and that made me so mad, and I had counted on him to sweep the floor, and he didn't sweep the floor, and he always treats me like this. And so she's venting, and I'm listening to this, okay? And then I think, oh, yeah, he must be a really nasty person, He told her he was going to sweep the floor, and then he didn't. Oh, totally unreliable. Venerable Thubten, I totally understand why you're mad at him. I really sympathize. And I think you should go and put him in his place so that next time he will sweep the floor. Okay, yeah. Okay, so she and I are friends. Your friends always expect you to side with them when they have a problem. if you don't side with them, then they're going to think that you're, if I don't side with her against him, if I say to her, what are you so upset about? I saw him sweep the floor. Or it's your floor, you could also sweep it. If I don't side with her, then she gets mad at me. Okay? So the thing is, when she's mad and talks to me about it, and I believe it and I get involved, then her words become divisive words. Yeah, so she's creating negative karma. Then I get angry at him because I heard this story about him. And then my anger makes me really nasty towards him too. So I create negative karma and I lose my love and compassion. It's like, oh, this guy, useless. Yeah. Who wants a monk who can't sweep the floor? I don't care if he can fix the sound system, got to sweep the floor too, okay? So, when we get involved in other people's things like this, then, and we believe them when they talk badly about somebody, then we lose our own love and compassion. Okay, so what's the remedy? He says, give up bad friends. In other words, you're polite to those people, but you don't listen to their advice. You don't keep them as your best friend. Mm-hmm. Okay. How are we doing? Okay. Oh, I'm going to skip a few verses because I wanted to get to some of the ones that will push buttons. Let's go to, okay. Okay, let's go to verse 14. Yeah. Even if someone broadcasts all kind of unpleasant remarks about you throughout the 3,000 worlds, in return, with a loving mind, speak of his good qualities. This is the practice of Bodhisattva. Okay, so there's somebody, who talks about you behind your back and says all sorts of things. Some of them may be true, some of them are not true, but they just smear your reputation, turn everybody against you. Yeah, have you ever had that happen? Yeah? Somebody who you thought was a friend then starts telling bad things about you behind your back. Okay, how do you usually feel when that happens? You feel hurt, yeah? You feel disappointed, you feel angry, yeah? And then you want to talk bad about them behind their back because you don't like them anymore and you want other people to know that they're unreliable. So then, then you go and tell somebody else. So, now I'm mad at him, so I go and tell you about how mad I am at him. But then I realize that it wasn't his problem. He did sweep the floor. She was exaggerating. So now I'm mad at her because she got me mad at him. So, now I want to talk bad about her behind her back so everybody knows not to listen to her because she gossips. Okay, so you're in this situation. Somebody is talking bad about you behind your back. Yeah, you're angry, you feel betrayed, you're disappointed, you're hurt. Yeah, what does Thogme Zangpo, the author of this text, tell you to do? Oh, well, first of all, they're saying all they're broadcasting all these unpleasant remarks about you not just to a few people, but to the whole universe, the 3,000 worlds, everywhere. They print it in the newspaper of every place that has a newspaper, and say how bad you are and awful things you do. And what does Thogme Zangpo do? He doesn't say, yeah, go retaliate and tell that person, tell everybody how that person's a liar. No, he says, in return, with a loving mind, speak of his good qualities. What? What? Somebody who ruined my reputation and told all these horrible stories that weren't true about me. Yeah. Or maybe I had told them something in confidence and they went and told other people. Yeah, I'm mad. And he's telling me to have a loving mind and speak of her good qualities. Oh, impossible. Yeah. Yeah, isn't that the way you would feel? Impossible. No, I'm going to be mad. I'm going to stand up for my rights. I'm going to tell everybody here. Okay? But like we talked about earlier in the talk, when we get all angry and worked up, are we happy? No. Is our speech kind? No. When you're mad and you say things, the next day, when you think about what you said, when under the influence of anger, do you feel good about that? No. Okay. So why cling on to this anger because somebody talked bad about you when it's only going to make you more miserable? Yeah. And if I look at the person who did that, they're just a living being who wants to be happy and they don't want to suffer. And they had the wrong information. Or maybe she was jealous of me and spread these bad rumors about me because out of jealousy. But she's somebody that just wants to be happy and not suffer. She's exactly like me. Yeah. And what she's done to me, I've done to other people. So how can I just blame her for everything when I do the same thing? Yeah. So I try and cultivate a loving mind towards her, wishing, because love is the wish for somebody to have happiness and the causes of happiness. So may that person have happiness and the causes of happiness. If they did have happiness, they wouldn't be saying all those horrible things about me to the whole universe. Okay, so really, think about this. When somebody harms you, whether by saying false things or true things, or they harm you physically, yeah, is that person happy? Yeah, somebody who harms somebody else is not happy. Yeah, isn't that person, wouldn't it be better to wish them to be happy? Because if they were happy, then they wouldn't be acting like that. Okay, so with a loving mind, speak of his good qualities. Now maybe you say, oh, he doesn't have any good qualities. Yeah, so I'll tell you a story. I really like this story. So I was giving some teachings in Wisconsin one summer, and encouraging people to praise other people and to point out their good qualities, and because it makes the other people feel good, and it makes you feel good. It makes your relationships much happier. And so I I said, okay, everybody has a homework assignment this week, go to your office, and somebody that you don't get along with in your workplace, say something nice about them. So there was one man, when I gave that instruction, he raised his hand. He said, I have this one colleague, there is nothing nice about him. How am I supposed to say something nice? I said, you just go try. So we came back the next week, and I said, how did it go? With this colleague that he doesn't like. And I said, were you able to point out some good quality about him? And the guy said, well, not exactly. I lied and said something nice. And then, so I said, okay, go back and try again this week. Say something nice about him. And so as each week went by and he tried harder and harder, he started saying, the second week he said, okay, I kind of exaggerated a quality that he has, but he does have that quality. In the third week, I said something truthful about a good quality that he has. And then at the end, it's like, oh, that person became a friend. Yeah. So, there's some reason. Initially, we may not feel like saying something nice about somebody who trashed us. But if we do, and we try and say something truthful, it can really turn things around. Yeah. I'll give you another example. This isn't exactly with a friend, but one time I was giving a talk at a bookstore in Seattle, and somebody had read, a book that I had done, and and I was explaining that one topic during the talk. And they raised their hand and they stood up and they said, well, my teacher says that, this topic says da, 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 and the way you explained it is all wrong. Like you're a Buddhist teacher and you said this, that's not true at all. And so this person said it, there was a whole audience. It would be like, let's say this room were completely packed, and one of you jumped up, raised their hand and said, what are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about, stop it. And here's everybody else hearing them, criticizing me. Okay, so she went on a little bit about, how I didn't know anything about Buddhism. She obviously, knew everything perfectly. And when she finally sat down, I said, thank you. And then I went on with the talk. Yeah. And somebody came up to me after the talk and said, we can't believe, first of all, that she said that to you. And we can't believe that you just said thank you and didn't, humiliate her back. But it was, I thought, what's the use? She kind of told me off in front of other people. What's the use of me saying bad things about her? Yeah. So that's why I just said thank you, and it was finished. Whereas if I had attacked back, whoo, that talk would have probably become a battle. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay, here's another one. Verse 16. Okay. So I'm sharing with you some of the verses now, these last two, in which the advice you're getting is usually the opposite of what you want to do. Okay, so verse 16 says, even if a person for whom you've cared, like your own child, regards you as an enemy, cherish him specially like a mother does her child who is stricken by sickness. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Okay, so think of a situation, we've probably all had this happen, where you've really cared a lot about somebody and you did a lot of things for them and shared things with them and gave them gifts, or, you know, you were very, very kind and you really trusted that person. And then suddenly you don't understand why they totally turn against you and start criticizing you. Yeah. So they're a person for whom you've cared and who you trust. Yeah. You trust them like you would trust your own child. Yeah. But they start regarding you as an enemy and you're like, what? I don't understand why they're acting like this. Yeah. So what would you usually like to do? Well, you know, you feel betrayed, you might feel angry, or you might feel very sorry for yourself. Oh, I was such a good friend, and now they're treating me so badly. Poor me, poor me, poor me. Yeah, and you throw a big pity party, okay? So, you know, the last thing you want to do is hang around that person, you know, or be told, you know, that to love them or have positive feelings. But what's the advice here? Okay, you cherish them especially like a mother does her child who is stricken by sickness. Yeah, how many of you are parents? A few of you, yeah. When you have a child that's sick, if your child behaves abominably when they're sick, do you hold it against them? They're running a fever and they're crying. Yeah. Do you go and say, oh, shut up, child. I don't care. You're running a fever. Just be quiet. I'm exhausted. No, you're a parent. You love your child. They're sick. Yeah. And you know that when somebody's sick, they often say and do things, you know, because they don't feel well, but you don't hold it against them. So, you know, just like a parent would be like that towards their child who they love deeply, you know, when that child acts abominably because they're sick, then even somebody isn't your child, yeah, even they're not sick physically, but maybe they're sick with wrong ideas, or they're sick with anger, or they're sick with jealousy. Okay? Yeah. So their own minds are out of control. So then you see them with a heart of compassion. Yeah. I once had that, and somebody who I really trusted, who I was working with, yeah, then there was it was my birthday and a few people were, you know, gathering together, and he didn't come, and instead he gave a card to somebody to give to me for my birthday, and it said, you know, I'm backing away, I'm not going to be your friend anymore. What? What's going on? Nothing happened. We didn't quarrel. There was nothing going on. Why all of a sudden you're at, you know, this person who I trusted is acting like that. And, you know, at that time, I wasn't able to practice this verse very well. And so I got really depressed and, oh, but I kept coming back to this verse because I knew that there was some wisdom in it. And so gradually, as I thought about the situation more and more, I realized, oh, the reason that he backed away was because I had a lot of unrealistic expectations about how he should be, you know, because he was somebody I worked with. So I just assumed he would always work with me and always like the projects that I was doing. Da, 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 da. And he wasn't. He was dealing with some issues, personal issues of his own that I didn't know about. And he just needed some space. Yeah. When I finally figured that out, yeah, then I stopped being depressed and angry. And I just said, you know, he's like a child that is stricken by illness, and, you know, have some compassion for him and wish him well. Yeah, so I tried to practice that because I was really able to give up my upset emotions about that. And then later, some months later, he came and apologized. Again, out of the blue. And we're friends. So, you know, there's a lot of wisdom in these verses, even though when you first read them, you think, oh, that's not how I want to act. Yeah. Okay, so I just looked at the clock. We have time for a few questions. Like I said, we haven't gotten through the whole text, but if you read Don't Believe Everything You Think, you can get some idea about the rest of the text. So any questions or comments?
So, Venerable, thank you so much for your precious teachings. You mentioned we should avoid bad objects, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think now with our devices and phones, I mean, it's not difficult for me to see like bad objects, like advertisements, for me to buy things I don't need just from my phone, right? I mean, we're just surrounded by distractions all the time.
Yeah.
So how should we just cope with this whole deluge of distractions?
Get rid of your phone. Your phone. Yeah, I don't have a phone. Believe me, you can live in this world without a phone. Yeah. I think people think now, you know, my phone is part of my body. I can't live without it. I live perfectly well without a phone. Yeah, really, you can do it. It's actually much nicer because then you don't get a million messages and get so totally distracted when half of those messages aren't really important at all. Yeah. So you guys think I'm crazy. Get rid of your phone. Well, you lived at some time in your life without a phone, didn't you? You weren't born with one in your hand. You didn't go through school with a phone. Yeah, there were new devices that you got a few years ago. And if you find them annoying, yeah, leave them. Then all your friends go, oh, but I can't contact you. Yes, you can still contact me. You know, I have a landline. You can call me. You can leave a message on my machine. You can email, you know, and don't expect an answer right away. Yeah.
Thank you, Venerable. I mean, for some things, I'm just thinking, you know, in the course of our work, it's something to use.
Oh, yeah, you really need a phone. You can't do your job without a phone. Oh, oh. Yeah.
much for your very enlightening talk. Been practicing, all this meditation relating to, not to attach to a lot of our feelings about all this craving. Easier said than done in many instances, especially in situations where I think we come across in the course of work or in the course of relationships where we do have very difficult situations.
Mm-hmm.
How do we deal with those situations when you know that you need to put a certain stand in order to protect yourself, but at the same time, you want to, this example you gave about, trying to treat that person as if you're the mother of the child.
No, it doesn't mean you treat them like a child. It means you have compassion like a parent would have for their child who's sick. It's not saying that you treat them like a child.
So it's more like inwardly tuning your own mind to,
Yes.
not be affected by his
Yeah.
reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's easier said than done. I give an example, because right now my daughter is undergoing a divorce
Mm-hmm.
with her husband, and in the process is trying to settle it amicably, but the other guy is not willing to. So we're going to do the court process. So in the court process, I have to file affidavits. So I'm helping my daughter draft affidavits. I have to write things which are not so nice about him, right? But yet I know that if I write it nice, it's going to be all on record. But yet I told him I'm trying to generate good, loving kindness, compassion to you, but it's so difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have to be nice in the affidavit, it's going to hurt my case.
Yeah.
I cannot, so I have to be tough with him.
Oh.
So what's your advice?
Well, first of all, I would say try not to file a case, try not to go to court. Yeah, because, when people get divorced, there can be some very, very intense emotions. Yeah, and people are upset, especially if your daughter was the one who wanted the divorce and he wasn't. Yeah, he's upset, he's hurt, he feels insecure. Yeah, if you kind of attack back, he's gonna get more rigid.
I think the reverse has happened. I've been trying to find a situation where we can resolve it amicably.
Mm-hmm.
We went for mediation, he called it off, so he wants to fight all the way. So we have no choice, we are on the receiving side.
Mm-hmm.
So to protect my own daughter, we have to say all the facts about him, and it's going to go on record.
You have to. You don't have any choice.
I have no choice.
No choice.
So
It's not a free world.
Yeah.
It's not a free
Precisely.
world. You have to.
So-
Because if you don't, the sky's gonna fall.
So that gives rise to another issue where, when I try to do my meditation,
Uh-huh.
I try to generate loving kindness to a
Yeah.
person like that,
Yeah,
it's very, very challenging.
yeah. If you were in the midst of a messy divorce, wouldn't you be upset?
I think I'm more upset because it's my daughter who's doing it.
No, I'm talking about with you, I think you were married. You had a daughter, so you were married before. If, let's say, your wife walked out with somebody else, you would be upset. I'm just giving some example. I mean, you know what it's like to have problems. So the thing is that very often we have to really see what is going on for the other person. What are their feelings and what do they need right now? Okay. You're just going to tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I'm going to tell you that you have made a lot of sense, and I know what the issues are. It's actually the same things that I would like to preach, but to tell him to let go on a lot of these mental projections that she has about the marriage, right? So when it's very difficult to get across that message when he's in that emotional state.
Yeah.
So I will just let it go, and if he wants to go by the law, go by the law, that's all. And it may take another 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, I do not know, for him to get over the feeling, right? But in the meantime, they have a small infant child,
Okay.
and have to run through that whole process.
Okay. Look, I'm not going to get involved in your personal things. I've said what I had to say. If I recommend that you look at something that's called nonviolent communication and study that, you know, because it really gives, helps us develop the skill to understand how somebody's feeling, what they need, and therefore how to talk to them in difficult situations. Okay, so check out nonviolent communication. Doing
about
what?
the bad friend
Yeah.
that we have. We need to distance from that relationship or that person. My question is that what if that person is someone that we love, like our close one, parents or child?
Let me tell you, yeah, okay. When I decided to become a Buddhist and to ordain, yeah, my parents asked me to leave the house and did not talk to me for years. Okay? But I knew, because I was going to Asia, they were in America, I knew that they would worry about me, even though they didn't write, you know, and they didn't like what I was doing, and they said, go, leave the house. I knew they would worry, so I wrote them a letter every month. Yeah. Then, after some years, yeah, they called, and they were coming. I was in Hong Kong, and they were coming to Hong Kong, and they said, we'd like to see you. I said, okay. Yeah, so we spent some time together. It was good. Yeah, I was careful. I didn't do the things that I knew would upset them. Yeah, and we had, you know, a good time. Then later, if some more years passed, they didn't talk to me. I went back to the States, and then, you know, I called them, and I kept in touch with them, and then gradually everything healed, you know, and you know, we got along great after that. So there was, you know, something about just realizing, okay, they're going to be upset. I don't want them to worry, and just give them time to calm down and keep in touch, and let them know that, you know, I'm willing, you know, I would like some reconciliation. We never talked about the situation. It just happened that we started being nice to each other, you know? So, you know, sometimes there's somebody takes space from you, and, you know, or somebody criticizes you, and you just, you know, sometimes it's really good you give some space, you know, but keep the door open.